We are beginning this video as we enter into Clifton Forge, Virginia, as that sign says right there. I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but it's currently snowing outside. And I wasn't expecting it to be snowing at all, and it wasn't snowing when I got up here. You guys saw that. It was not snowing at all. But now it is. Maybe Mama heard that we're coming here. Maybe this is her way to warn us to not be here. Even looking at the weather here, not a single thing about snow. While I was waiting for the snow to stop, I ended up going to a local place here and got me a coffee and a banana donut. I've never had a banana donut. At least not that I remember. Now that the snow has ended, I can finally show you what it's like in the actual Clifton Forge. This little building right here is the Clifton Forge Police Department. Now it's kind of windy out here and there's a lot of cars going by. So I don't know how well you're going to hear this or what all this microphone is picking up. But the sad thing is, this is never shown in the movie. So you're probably wondering why I showed that to you if it's not even mentioned in the movie. Well, cops were shown in the movie, but what got me confused is every time I search up about the movie, it says it takes place in Clifton Forge, Virginia, which is where I am right now. The problem with that is, anytime cops did show up, from what I remember, was only like 2 times, and I'll show you the times that I saw it. Every time, they were Richmond police. Richmond and Clifton Forge are not close to each other. You can see here, from my location, which is Clifton Forge, to Richmond, it's about 2.5, roughly about 2.5 hours, which, okay, that's not too bad. But that has to mean that the main characters were staying in Richmond. I think the very first time that the Clifton Forge sign was even shown was when they looked for public records. They were looking for the public records, and that's when you saw the Clifton Forge. It said Clifton Forge Public Records. Unfortunately, we don't have a sign like that right here, but I do have 2 places that could have been your public records places. I really struggled trying to figure out exactly where the main characters were living because of that Richmond police issue. Because every time there was something wrong, it was the Richmond police that showed up. But every time you search up, which I'll show you, actually, I'll show you examples, but every time you search it up, it says it was based in Clifton Forge, Virginia. Now, there are a few buildings around here that, let's say the movie was actually filmed here. By the way, it was not filmed here, if you guys haven't already caught on to it, but this is just where it was based. But let's say it was here, right? Let's say all of that actually happened here. There's a few buildings that probably could have been used for the public information. One of them does look, I wouldn't say exactly the same, but it looks pretty close or similar to the building that they used in the movie. This building right here is the Clifton Forge Town Hall. I think this would be the closest resemblance to what they had in the movie, as far as what's in Clifton anyway. The other building I was going to mention that movies normally use for public information are the libraries. Now in the movie, I don't know if they used the library or what kind of building it really was, because all it said was Clifton Forge Public Records. There is no Clifton Forge Public Records building here. So those would be my top 2 guesses on what could have actually been used. Another thing that I just want to point out, just because I noticed when the movie started, there was a Washington, D.C. license plate on the back of a car. And then it was the Richmond police. That showed me 2 different areas that they could be in, Washington, D.C. or Richmond. The only time I saw Clifton Forge be mentioned is when he was in the Clifton Forge Public Records building. Even the woman there was wearing an Allegheny County tag on her, like her name tag. And this is Allegheny County. It seems the only time that Clifton Forge was mentioned was when they needed to find information. And then when they didn't need to find information, they were back in Richmond. It was very confusing. I also want to apologize. I did not expect the level of traffic that was going to be happening today. Plus it's windy. Hopefully the mic isn't picking up as much wind, but I'm sure it's picking up some of the traffic. So I do apologize about that. It's also getting later, the sun's going down. I mean, you guys saw it was snowing. So I'm trying to do the best I can with this. But we are about to leave Clifton Forge to go to one other location that was mentioned. Well, before we do that, I do want to mention one thing. There's a certain tunnel. Was it a tunnel or a bridge? I think it was a tunnel that was shown a lot throughout the movie and ended up being like a key part of the movie. The problem with that tunnel is actually in Clifton, Virginia. There's a whole legend. It's the Bunny Man legend. I'll show you a little bit about that too. That whole legend was pretty much surrounded by that tunnel, and they heavily focused that throughout the movie and then ended up using that into the movie itself. Not the actual place, but they recreated their version of it. They were very, very insistent. Is that the word? Insistent? I don't know. But they very heavily wanted you to focus on that being in Clifton Forge. It is not. Clifton Forge, Virginia, and Clifton, Virginia are about, is it an hour and a half? We're about to find out. Hold on. So if we look at the difference from Clifton Forge, Virginia to Clifton, Virginia, they are 3 hours apart from each other. They are not the same place at all. Now, I do give them the benefit of the doubt because they did film it in a completely different country. You know, they didn't film it around here. I'm sure they're not even from around here. The problem is they want you to believe something that isn't true. They mixed up Clifton, Virginia and Clifton Forge, Virginia. And I started thinking, you know, maybe they didn't look into what is inside Clifton Forge, Virginia or Clifton, Virginia, and they just thought it was the same place, right? Until they started talking about how far certain things were. One of the locations they mentioned was Falls Church, Virginia.
And doctor, there are no psychiatric hospitals anywhere near Clifton Forge.
Where would the closest one be?
Falls Church, 200 miles from here.
And they mentioned it like it was very close. Not close to Clifton Forge, though. It is 3 hours from Clifton Forge. This is when I learned they were confusing Clifton with Clifton Forge. Because Clifton, Virginia is about 30 minutes from Falls Church, Virginia, which I believe is what they were saying in the movie. I've actually never crossed this bridge. But we are crossing this bridge so I can get back to my car before it gets too dark, and I can show you another location that not only was mentioned, but is a key location in the movie itself. While walking across, about where I'm standing right now, about right in this area, it started shaking. So of course it's going to shake right over top of water. And I know that water is cold. I know you all are probably thinking I didn't really show you a whole lot. But this really is all there is to show you. I mean, there are more things obviously, but it's not that big of a town. It really is a small town. I almost missed this in the movie because the way they pronounced this in the movie, they said Duthat.
Now, this long book contains records from St. Gertrude's Asylum up by Duthat Lake. That's 5 miles north from here.
This is pronounced Douthat. The road that I am driving down right now is called Douthat Road. this is pretty much the area where Mama's cabin is. I don't remember if it's her cabin, but the site where, you know, they had the secluded cabin in the woods and stuff, it would have been somewhere down here. Now, obviously it isn't, but I'm giving you guys a look at what this actually really looks like. You know, it is a wooded area. It's actually a campground down here if I get further down. So we'll see what all I can show you. I'm just imagining driving down this road and then looking off somewhere to the side to see a secluded cabin and just picturing Mama being there. It's crazy because we are in Douthit right now. This is where we are. Is she here? So if you ever do come to Douthit State Park, there are parking fees that you have to abide by. Regular parking will be $7. Bus is $35. And if you're parking a horse trailer, yes, they have that up here, that will be $11. They do have annual parking passes. And the park closes at 10 p.m. It says that on the very bottom. I know the lighting isn't too great here, but I'm sure you can see this. I'll actually move one up here just a little bit to show you guys. There we go. I don't know if you can read that or not. There you go, you can read that. Parking fees can be paid by cash or credit. Any park office, camp store, and beach store. I could have shown you the campgrounds, the lake, all that fun stuff. But things cost money. And I did not pay for my parking, and I am not parked up there. Plus it is getting late, it's dark, you wouldn't be able to see much. And in the movie, the only thing Douthit related are the woods. And I guess the secluded cabin, but you're not going to find that here. But we are, right now, in the woods, at night, in Douthit. The place where Mama is said to roam. Well, not really roam, she kind of stayed with the kids, but you get the idea. This is it. This is the real Douthit, in the woods. And I got my headlights on my car shining on me because it is dark. Look at this. This is pretty good lighting though. It is pretty good lighting. I think one of my headlights are brighter than the other actually. Oh look, I can't. See, I gotta watch where I hold my camera because then it'll block my face. You guys need to see this face when I'm talking to you. Anyway, we're here. This is Douthit. I'm right off the road. You can see the road. Yes, this is the place where apparently, so this is what they say in the movie. In the movie, I cannot remember her name off the top of my head. I have this whole notes on my phone and I'm not even pulling it out to look. And my car is probably making a lot of noise. Let me walk a little further away from it. Unfortunately, in Douthit, there's no service. So I can't pull out my phone and try to look up any information. I completely forgot Mama's name. I forgot her real name. It was said in the movie that in Douthit, she was in St. Gertrude Asylum. Now, St. Gertrude Asylum does not exist. It is not real. There's no asylum around here at all. This is just a state park. This is all this is. This is not a town. This isn't a city. This isn't really anything major. It's just a state park. There are campgrounds. There's hiking trails. There's woods, obviously. I mean, I'm standing in the middle of the woods at night right now filming this in Douthit, where Mama was based, by myself. So, but this is what it looked like. I know I mentioned earlier about the Bunnyman Bridge, and that's in Clifton, Virginia, instead of Clifton Forge, Virginia. We do have like a tunnel area. It's not really in Clifton Forge. It's in a place called Lowmore. It's right next to Clifton Forge. And I was going to show that on here, but as you can see, it's dark. So you won't even be able to see it. It's not the same. It has no relation to the tunnel that they used in the movie or that they referenced. It just doesn't exist here. They had it wrong. As of now, that's all I got for you guys. I kind of showed you some of Clifton Forge. There wasn't a lot to show because they didn't really feature anything related to Clifton Forge in the movie. Because anytime the main characters were having any incident, it was the Richmond police. The only time Clifton Forge was brought up was during the public records. I showed you buildings that could have been related to that. But other than that, I mean, they say it's based in Clifton Forge, and they do mention Clifton Forge, but the details that they mention are not really related to Clifton Forge at all. The only thing that was really related to Clifton Forge, three things. One, Clifton Forge itself, obviously, is Clifton Forge. Two, they were correct with saying Allegheny County or Allegheny Highlands or whatever her name badge says. I saw it on there. And three, Douthat State Park. Although they do say Douthat, it is Douthat. And Douthat is apparently the place where St. Gertrude Asylum was. It is not, because it doesn't exist. There never was an asylum in this area. So that was all made up for the movie. And that's it. I mean, that's all I can show you here that's related to the movie. There's lots of things I can show you that's not related, but that's not what this video is. So with all that said, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next adventure.